You are welcome to the Naija Filmmaker, a podcast about Nigerian filmmakers, their films, and how we can build a diverse and functional industry. This episode is a collaboration with TswaFilmFest, which has started in December 2024. We have Mr. C of Iroko Critic moderating a conversation on the future of Nollywood with guests such as James Omokwe, Deyemi Okanlawon, and Opeyemi Ewumi. If you're a new listener, you're welcome and I hope you enjoy. Okay, let me just give a brief introduction for the TswaFilmFest Film Festival. It's the aim is that it's a celebration of bold voices and diverse cinema. The festival aims to encourage bold and original storytelling across genres pulled from across Nigeria and the world. TswaFilm Film Festival is part of the TSWA Network, a social enterprise dedicated to elevating and positioning Abuja as a vibrant hub for film production and appreciation, uniting film enthusiasts like myself, filmmakers like yourselves, and creatives like all of us in a collaborative and community-driven space. It comprises a film collective with 6 members, a film club, and the TswaFilm Film Festival, founded by filmmaker and cultural entrepreneur Selegot. All right. But today we're going to hopefully be having a very fascinating conversation, very important one. I think something that will forever be, this is an evergreen topic. We're going to be discussing about the future of Nollywood. We're going to be talking about the market, the money, and sustainability. But before we go into that, we should introduce our guests that are here with us. James, do you want to do a brief introduction of yourself and what you're up to?
Okay, everyone. Hi, my name is James Omokwe. I'm a director, producer, sometimes executive producer. I make TV films. Made a film recently, which hopefully everyone will get to see. I'm quite interested in the business of Nollywood. I've been studying Nollywood for many years, and hopefully, maybe in sometime in the future, you'd probably see me in the corporate side of things. But that's pretty much what I do. But making films and TV shows is my day job.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, James. And Deyemi, please, do you mind doing a brief introduction of yourself and what you're up to?
James should add making money is part of his job description. Good form humble, but it's okay. All right, my name is Deyemi Okanlawon. I'm known as an actor, but I wear so many more hats. Bit of a background in engineering, found myself in sales and marketing, eventually, pivoted into the creative side of things as an actor, but I brought in my marketing skills. I was consulting for a lot of filmmakers back when I started out, just wanting to add value, really. But of course, the easiest way to network is by adding value to other people. So you'd see me promoting stuff from other people's work, whether I was in it or not. Eventually, that opened up a door to consult for Silverbird Film Distribution many years ago. So I was consulting for them for a while. Eventually, that became a position with the company. In 2019, when I quit acting, I worked there till 2021. And I went from being a marketing manager to distribution manager in charge of Nollywood to the acting CEO before I resigned and went back to acting full time. I came back having learned a bit about the landscape, from my stint in distribution. I produced my first film, All's Fair in Love, which went on to be the highest grossing movie of its genre at the within the space of its release. That's the Valentine's season, and it's now showing on Amazon Prime. I'm currently in Tokyo filming a Japanese TV series.
Wow, is that breaking news?
Breaking news.
Wow, look at that. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Not by Japanese TV. by Japanese TV series, is that actually, is it Nigerian doing something doing in Japan, or Japan doing something in Japan?
It's a
Yeah,
arigato gozaimasu.
uh, very
Konnichiwa.
nice. No,
Yeah.
congratulations. That's it's always awesome, and this probably feeds right into what we're going to be discussing today about in terms of the future of Nollywood. I guess before we start discussing about the future of Nollywood, it's worth trying to judge and assess where we think Nollywood is now, at least in relation to where we're coming from. I think there's two different kinds of past we can look at, and of course, Nollywood is so diverse in terms of there's cinema, there's streaming, there's YouTube, there's all these there's TV, and it's actually great that we have people who have specialized in quite different parts of the industry, as well as done almost a little bit of everything as well. But yeah, I guess James, we can start with you. Is like, where would you assess Nollywood now in comparison to where we've come from?
Okay, so my response, and every response I give, I'm always, and this is like a caveat. Everything I say is, I stand to be corrected. If the data is available, I'm happy to change my perspective. But this is just off of based on stuff that I've researched and just it's my lived experience. Currently, Nollywood is not in a great place. A couple of weeks ago, what am I saying? Just generally, the economy has been in a crazy space all over the world, and two out of the three biggest investors in Hollywood pulled out in quotes. Prime being number one and Netflix reducing their investment in Hollywood doesn't put us in a great place because it almost seems like we're back to square one, which is trying to find, in some cases, it's trying to find new distribution or channels to distribute our stuff. And in my case, it's a thing of saying that we're trying to find a way to create the end-to-end value chain of what Nollywood should be in terms of its structure. In terms of outlook, we've grown in how we tell our stories and in how impactful those stories are. Technically, we are growing. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. We're trying our best to tell stories. It's not like how it used to be before. People are paying more attention, especially because of the international eyeballs that's coming our way. And so we've grown, to some degree, but in terms of the economics of Nollywood, it's in shambles, and we need a quick fix. No, sorry, we don't need a quick fix. We need a lasting solution to, the problem. That's where I see Nollywood today.
Okay, one can even say a sustainable solution. But yes, thank you. Deyemi, is there anything you'd like to add to that, or do you have a slightly different take? Do you see Nollywood as slightly in trouble?
So I don't agree with James' perspective on this. I don't think Nollywood is in trouble. I think Nollywood is in a lot of trouble. Like a shithole of trouble. He's been nice. He's been nice. But the reality is that where we have over the last 10 years taken a few steps forward, it feels now like not only have we gone back to square one, we've probably gone a bit backwards, a few steps farther than that. And primarily what's happened is we've gotten a taste of some level of investment, like an addict, and by and large, while it has helped us, again, like an addict who first starts using drugs, you might get some kind of euphoria from it, you might get some kind of energy from it, but then a lot of diminishing returns start to come in. We more or less and I would say as a whole, and I'm part of the industry as a whole, because again, we can't point fingers if we've not taken responsibility and we're not trying to be accountable. Whether we were actively, participating in the waste, or we were quiet in the face of it, you know. But we're in a really bad place, and anyone who has half of a brain would have seen this coming a mile away, because primarily what we have, I mentioned I was in sales and marketing. My last gig, well, actually, my last maybe three gigs was, one was a pro share, one was a deal fish, the other was with OLX. They were all tech companies. I know how tech companies move. I know how they move. They're data driven. They always look like they're spending nonsense money, but I promise you, there's always a cutoff point when they don't see the kind of results that they want. And it was always going to be, it was always inevitable. But as much as we paint a dark picture of now, and it's necessary that we paint it well, that we're all aware of where we are. It's necessary. Let's not bury our heads in the sand. But I do believe that this is the time for the true creatives to rise, for the true creatives who have vision, who have excellence, or spirit of excellence. It is the time for them to rise, because when they start to tell stories about the next generation of Nollywood, is the people who rise up in this time that we're going to be talking about. And it might require a bit more strategic thinking. It definitely requires a bit more of a holistic industry, where we are actually supporting our industry. We're not what's that word, we're not it's about parasites. We're not like feeding off each other,
Leeching.
or
Leeching.
it's not even. It's
Oh.
cannibalizing. That's what's been. A lot of it has been going on. But once we begin to understand that we can only do this together as an industry, as stakeholders, as with the government, and even our audiences, once we all understand that we're in this game together, then maybe just maybe within the next few years, we're gonna see a major turnaround. But the next 1 or 2 years, I'm pretty scared.
Wow. Thanks, Deyemi. I was actually really excited when you said you didn't agree with James. I was like, oh, we're going to have an exciting, visceral, only for you to go. I didn't see that plot twist coming, to be honest. All right, but thank you. Opeyemi, I don't know if you got the question at the beginning, but thank you for joining us. I'm sure life has been happening. From your perspective, how do you assess not the current status of Nollywood? The guys have painted somewhat, I wouldn't say pessimistic. I think what they would call it is realistic vision, but it's looking dark from their perspective. But what would you say from your perspective Nollywood is looking like, the current status?
Hi everyone. I'm going to apologize beforehand. There's a lot of noise where I am. I'm currently on set. I'm actually in transit, moving from one location to another. Um, I think I lean towards more of what Deyemi said in terms of I think with everything that has happened and the news flying around and everybody throwing around details that we not really heard, like factual statements about, it's a good time for newer filmmakers and storytellers to rise up. And I think that there's also enough time for the older ones, or those who have been around for longer, to re-strategize, go back to the drawing board, um, fix perhaps storytelling, write good stories, and just hope for the best and continue to do what they love. Because I don't really subscribe to the idea that we're at some doomsday event or something. People have been creating before these guys came in people will continue to create even if they leave, So I don't know that we should all be thinking, oh, we're done for. There's no hope anymore, you know. Um, yeah, that's how I feel. I don't think that anything serious is happening, honestly.
Yeah.
I think that we should all stop having that defeatist mindset and just keep creating,
Uh,
and keep looking for money, obviously.
Thank you so much, Ewumi, for some lights at this very dark interval as we've been going at this dark tunnel. But I want to do at least some job as a moderator, as offering some pushback here where it can, where I can find some. So I would say, somebody might say, okay, Jamie, you are shooting a movie in TV series in Japan, right? Some of our big films now have reached some festivals that we haven't heard of recently. How can Nollywood be in such a dour place when our reach is also seems like it's expanding in aspects anyway? What would you say to something like that?
Bro, reach doesn't power an industry. Money does.
Sure.
Money
Okay.
does. People have to eat. Your actors have to eat. Your directors have to eat. Your crew members have to eat. Whichever vendor that you're working with has to eat. Nobody and 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 these little trickles of appearances in different places in the world. There are films in Ghana that are getting into film festivals. There are films in Cote d'Ivoire getting into film festivals. Um, and unless we're very, very intentional, see, for me personally, and I'm not sure that I want to share my personal strategy, but I mean the obvious thing is we kind of need to start looking outside. We've 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 tried this method of you know doing things here in Nigeria in a really broken system. um Filmmaking is already such a tedious job, and then we're still doing it within conditions that are subpar, and we're doing our best. But then burdened with we're burdened with nepotism. We're burdened with a whole lot of stuff. um I'm hearing, from the news. I'm gonna pretend as if I don't know what's really going on, but I'm hearing from the news that I'm sure James has also heard from the same news that people are collecting kickbacks and buying houses, and I don't like. It's confusing, you know.
Uh, uh,
Um, and James Omokwe has bought house, so I don't really know whether James.
uh,
No, 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 no. Those of us that have chopped Netflix and Amazon money, we know ourselves. I'm not on this live. But the truth is, we need to re-strategize as an industry. What if you have a seed in your hand and you toss it out of your window, and it blossoms into a tree, and it's an orange tree, and you're finding sustenance from that? The only thing that makes sense is not to try and be lucky again, is to try to be intentional, to be deliberate about your actions, to ensure that you are able to sustain yourself, sustain your industry. We found our way into a global platform at the time when they needed us. It's obvious now that they've looked at the return on the investment and they're questioning it. That's all it is. Now, do we continue to produce content for people that do not exist? Do we continue to take investors' money? Because it's happening. It's still happening right now. People are still producing. Right now, I may be wrong, but I hear that there's a queue of about 200 films that are looking for a house. They're looking for a home to be distributed to. I was in distribution. I have a fair understanding of how the game works. Right now, we have no clear pathway to produce money. we can convince investors and say, hey, this film did $1 million, that film did $500,000, this one did one. You've heard it, they're making one. Oh, bring money. We can collect the money. But can you please, when you're pitching to these people, also show them with even letters of intent from these streamers, show them with a letter from intent to say, this is how your money is going to come back. If you cannot do that, then we have no rights to be tasking, to be taking from people, taxing them of their hard-earned money just to scratch our creative itch and say we are producing films. If you don't know how you're going to make money from the film, please just chill until you do. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, that's very interesting. I think what I hear you alluding to there is, even though one or two individuals might be making it or reaching here and there, as an industry, we're not. Nollywood isn't moving forward or moving in the right direction, and we know that's due to a lot of things: structure, the system in Nigeria in general. I'm very curious because James, you've lived in a slightly different space where you've been working with like the likes of DSTV and those guys. Has anything changed? Have you felt anything change? Because this one, you are sounding pessimistic. One would think from the outside looking in is that place has always felt like a very safe place for Nollywood, and has been prosperous over the last year. One we could remember when African Magic started, and it was just the one channel to what it is now. So, how do you speak about what is it looking like on that front?
So the thing is, as I said before, I said 2 out of the 3 big investors, have pulled out. It's no different from, and I can't speak to the business of DSTV and African Magic, but from my perspective, it's no difference because budgets are going down. And the thing with, DSTV Showmax, they're readjusting to, certain things. If you've read the news, DSTV has lost a lot of subscribers in Nigeria over the past 1 year. And that's also due to the economy. Because again, when we say it's really bad, it's not just attributing to, us as filmmakers mismanaging our opportunities and whatever. There's also the economy that plays a huge role in their exits. And so people can't afford to pay DSTV, subscription. And so DSTV is losing subscribers. And if you notice, DSTV is trying to pivot into making Showmax some of the thing that really has the mainstream, products. But then there's piracy, because half of the products that you put on Showmax is on Telegram the next day. My show, Chatham, the minute it airs today, in less than 1 hour, it's on a Telegram, platform. And so when DSTV has moved to a subscriber-based, platform where Nigerians don't necessarily like paying for stuff, do you understand? That's also a tight business. And then they have to look at, if we're really doing these long-form shows anymore. We used to do 260 episode shows. That's been cut down to 130. And they used to do like a couple of 130 shows. That's been cut down to a particular number. And so we're also, facing the heat, because that money that trickles down comes from the exact same place, which is the consumer's pockets. And so you never know. Maybe, they're holding out because, yes, even though DSTV in itself in general is not an African company, but, Mnet Mnet, the subsidiary, which is a South African company, is based in Africa. So, yeah, they don't have anywhere to go per se. They are here, but the question is, budgets are dwindling. And the question is, how long are they going to be able to sustain that? We're only just lucky to be in that system and benefit from it. But the question is, for how long?
Right. Okay. All right. Trying to find all the rays of possible sunshine. So I'm going to go back to it.
I'll kindly say something, and just quickly, let me, so that it's not all gloom and doom, right? There are solutions, to these things, and it's not like, we're saying, it's the end of the world and, we're all in trouble. But I think the first step really just starts from the way that we think. I think Nollywood as a whole, and I just came off a podcast where I explained this entire thing in general. I don't think I have time to say it as a whole, but I think the real problem with Nollywood is us. We are the issue, right? And we are the issue because we refuse to innovate. We refuse to, because now that Netflix has gone, like the conversations I'm hearing with people is, oh, let's all run to YouTube. Because I know that YouTube, two of my guys have been making money off YouTube. They are paying dollars. Let's go. And there's nothing wrong with running to YouTube, but is YouTube a sustainable medium for all of us? Do you understand what I mean? We're not thinking. And let me tell you, I started this thing by talking about trends. Let me jump to Afrobeats for a second. We're making the same mistake that we're making with Afrobeats. Let me ask you a question. Afrobeats is successful, isn't it not? It's very successful. People are making so much money, and it's really good. But do you remember that in the 90s, and Afrobeat is successful majorly because of the Western acceptance. So Burna Boy, Davido, all these guys have gone far. Do you remember in the 90s that the Western acceptance was very huge on reggae? And so there was a huge inflow or whatever, or acceptance of the reggae genre. You had guys like Shabba Ranks, all these people in the 90s. It was a thing. They've moved on from reggae music and it's Afrobeats. Now my question is, do you think the people who were doing reggae music during that time are seeing the kind of money that our artists are seeing now? And it took 20 years for that to happen, about 20, 25 years. And Afrobeats is going to have the exact same structure. But guess what? The question you should ask yourself is, are there any local distribution systems for the music industry that will sustain the Nigerian artists 25 years after this? The answer is no. We don't have our Spotify. We don't have our own distribution system. Funny thing is, in the 90s, we used to have that distribution system. But we used to laugh at that distribution system. It was called Big Boss, Gigaman, and Co. Those guys used to buy you out. They'll tell you, P-Square, you made an album, I'll pay you X amount and I'll sell it abroad. But that's no longer available. Now, if you take this same thing and you put it in the film industry, this is exactly what used to happen in the 90s. There was a whole marketing scheme between the marketers and the filmmakers. They had an industry. How they used to sell DVDs when the cinemas came on board. When the cinemas came on board, we didn't join that marketing strategy. And what was the marketing strategy? It was a couple of guys that came together that have trade routes across the world. They will make films, hire a couple of artists, pay them good money, and sell those films across. When cinemas came, they what's the word? They just sidelined those people, and those people eventually became the pirates that you see today. But you see, in that piracy, there is a great marketing. There's a thing there that exists, and I say this because I said it in the beginning that I'm not just talking. I've had deep conversations with some of these guys, but we're not adopting that strategy. What we're looking for is the quickest buck, and so the problem is that that's the mindset that we're using right now. That Netflix is gone. It's not. I mean, Deyemi said it rightly. He said it takes a lot for you to invest in the structure and the ecosystem that we need. But we're not talking about a structure and ecosystem. We're talking about how do I make the quickest buck. Those guys have experienced what it takes to get $1.2 million to make a film. It's not there anymore. I need to find that $1.2 million. I don't care about the structure. I don't care about the industry. I care about that $1.2 million. And it's a toxic cycle that we're going into over and over again, which is why I said we are the problem. There are solutions, but we need to sit down and really think about how we can build an end-to-end value chain. That's what we need.
Because you fund value chains, right? What we've been doing is that we're funding the product, the film. We're not funding, we're not developing the entire value chain. We're not,
So like Deyemi said, you're not building the value chain. You're picking one thing and you're throwing money at it. It's not going to solve your problem.
I was thinking, but are you saying a studio wouldn't be, wouldn't that sort a lot of, sort of location issues, I guess, at least for many upcoming filmmakers and all of that.
Did we tell you
Is this
that we have? Did we tell you that we have location problem?
a lot of filmmakers
Did
complain
we?
about you
Yo,
location.
listen,
Well,
listen. What we've built right now, at the scale at which we have built it, we're doing basically what is guerrilla filmmaking. Even our big budget films is still guerrilla filmmaking, right? Um, but if you're going to like a child that is crawling, you buy clothes for a child that is crawling. You when the child gets to a certain age and it starts to walk, you buy clothes to fit that child. So you're building a system that works for where you are, not not trying to
Copies.
like okay, not trying to not trying to copy you. You fast forwarding this thing is not the solution, and especially fast forwarding it in a way that we know. Oh, money is involved. I can't talk too much. Well, the reason why I can talk now is because I mean, I'm fine with it.
Just
I'm fine
to
with it.
answer the question, yeah. If you build it, just follow the money. So you're in an industry that investors can't invest because they are not sure of returns. So you build a studio and you're asking filmmakers to come and pay top dollar to use that studio to shoot your films. Where are you getting the money to pay for the studio? That's the
James,
question.
that's a useful question. That's question 1A, whatever. Bro,
Eh,
what is the value of African content in the international market? What is the value of African content? And let's define African content, because you need to ask yourself, what makes a film Hollywood and what makes a film whatever else it's coming from? What does? Because Beast of No Nation was shot in its entirety in Ghana, African film. Half of A Yellow Sun was shot in its entirety in Nigeria, both quote unquote African films, right? No, wrong. Because Beast of No Nation was shot for about $6 million, they say, but Netflix picked it up for $12 million. Shot in its entirety in Africa. Half of A Yellow Sun, from what we are told, didn't even break even. It didn't even break even. Because you have to understand that the structure that was built for Hollywood to operate, the entire ecosystem is built. No matter where you go and shoot the film, it doesn't matter. It's who's funding the film, who's backing the film, so to speak,
who's buying?
the who's buying the film. They have everything sorted out before they even think about going to this idea of let me go and shoot the film first is a very, very big problem. It's still the same. Putting it again, you can't have worked in sales and marketing and not understand that before you build a product, you should investigate the markets. You should investigate market. You should know where the product is going and adjust accordingly. We have been focusing on shooting films to the detriment of other aspects of the industry. And there are even some parts of the industry that, bro, we're not even investing enough in our people. We're not. And if we don't start to figure out, okay, this is where we are, how best can we make this work? We have 200 million Nigerians. Maybe 95% of them are probably in that, you know, I'm gonna say it the way it is, in the poverty brackets. You know, it's bad. And every time our economy gets, the naira gets devalued, more people are joining that bracket. More people are joining that bracket. They can hardly eat. And we're producing content, but that content cannot make money here. It can't make money here because of the way we are doing it. We don't have a distribution system that can capture 50 million Nigerians. James, you've been in DSTV for how long? I don't need you to say the numbers, but the number of subscribers that DSTV has is less than a pin in an ocean. Bro. So if we've not cracked, if we've not been able to answer the question, which India did, they cracked how to distribute their films among themselves first. Hollywood knows how. Started off by.
That's it. You got it. You got it right. That thing that you just said.
Hollywood, before you said they have their local market, the US market, and then they have international. They actually figured out the local market first.
Yes.
Before trying to go global. We were trying to do things the other way around.
You are trying to appeal to the global market first. They don't care about you.
So actually,
we have 75 cinemas. About, it depends on where you look at, because cinemas will open and close. 75 to 80, about 250 screens. 250 screens. Most of them are in Lagos. Maybe 40% in Lagos. We have some in Abuja. We don't have enough distribution for our films locally. Now these guys have pulled out. We're going to be looking at each other now. We're talking about people. Piracy is as a result of lack of distribution. They cannot afford it. They can't afford to go to cinema and spend 10,000 naira, or they're abroad. They don't have access to it because the cinemas that are built outside the country do not accept our films. They want to watch the film where they are. They have the money. These ones don't have the money, but they want to watch the film. We have no distribution structure of our own to reach them. If we could create a distribution structure that worked for the peculiarities of Nigerians, and we can deliver our films to them. If we have our own platform, and I don't want to go into details of anything, I'm not trying to put out any ideas or anything, but if we can figure that and we can crack that and we can be innovative about our distribution first. If you tell me now, James, if I tell you, yo, I have access to 50 million Nigerians because of, the number of Nigerians that have mobile phones, and I have access to them, and we can deliver films to them in a way that we can receive money back. We can monetize our content through those 50 million people. You're going to jump at the opportunity immediately. Nobody is talking about.
No, thank you, Deyemi. Devil's advocate question here. All this, I think, very well. The issues have been stated, the problems with the industry, and the solutions, or at least blueprints of the solutions, of some of the solutions have been also specified. But I was saying, is it fair for filmmakers to carry this burden? Because I don't think this is anything that a lot of people trained or wanted to go into. Like, this was not. Some people just want to act. Some people just want to direct their film. Some people just want to do the producing. Right? Is it fair for some of the filmmakers to carry this burden?
Well, a lot of things about being Nigerian is unfair. A lot of people don't want to dig their own wells and pump their own water. A lot of people would rather have power generated by government, and then you pay your bills. A lot of people don't want to own generator sets. A lot of people they don't want to buy these things, but they have to, because you are in a country where you continuously always have to bootstrap every aspect of your life. So I think the same thing applies to filmmaking and filmmakers, unfortunately. And I think it also has boxed a lot of filmmakers. I wouldn't say us, because I'm not a filmmaker. I'm still an underling in this thing. I'm more of a film marketing person. I think that's boxed a lot of people into an individualistic approach, because if you are having to fund every aspect of your existence because you like this thing and you like this career path that you have chosen, you tend to be more what's it called, partial to self. Rather, you are doing more business for yourself and not for the general good of the industry. I know we like to make blanket statements and say, oh, the industry this, the industry that, but most filmmakers would be in business for themselves first. Because if you are funding something 100% or 90% from your money, I'm not doing it because I'm Father Christmas. I'm doing it because I want to make money for myself, and it would be nice to get government support here and there from time to time, but then we know that doesn't really happen. We know that those people that do get government support are like in a particular cabal, quote and unquote, and the barrier for entry is quite high. So I think that a lot of us need to be content where we are. And then if you want to strive for more, then you can take the risks that you need to take to get where you want to. I also want to say something. I think that because we are used to having conversations about global markets and reaching the global blah blah blah, we are so fixated on that. We forget that our audience is not exactly, or the people that actually pay attention to our stories are not really global, quote and unquote. I've heard stories about how some of our series and our old films are watched more in perhaps South American countries, some African countries, and all of that. And I think that aside from building for or making films for local markets, we need to focus on those areas. So you have like the Barbadoses, you have your Trinidad and Tobago and all of that stuff, all those places where, we've seen track records of some shows actually doing well on SVOD platforms and other online platforms, really. We need to acknowledge that there are different kinds of audiences to different kinds of locations or different countries or regions or what have you. You are always going to have people whose sole work in life is to create content for YouTube, right? Because the audience is on YouTube. They are not going to go anywhere. They're not interested in paying any money to watch anything. Even if they want to watch their favorite film that is in cinemas or streaming on Netflix, they're still going to go to Telegram and look for somebody to send them the link, right? We need to realize that there are different levels to filmmaking. There are different levels of filmmakers. We have James that definitely is always going to create for TV, cable, and cinema and all of that. You have the level of filmmakers that want to create for film festivals, that want to go to Cannes, go to other international film festivals and do their thing there. And then you have the people that, one, their budget is only going to keep them here, and they need to cater to the audience that is not sophisticated enough to afford to be in these places that we call global, quote unquote. So if every filmmaker is contented with where they are currently, contented with the status quo of the country, because the economy is bad and it gets worse every day. If you are not fortunate or privileged enough to access funds from certain levels of investors, then I'm sorry, I don't know why people really crack their brains so much to try to see, oh, how can we get this, how can we get that. Focus on your struggle as a filmmaker. Focus on the kind of stories you want to tell. Focus on the kind of money you want to pull in and the kind of scale you want to achieve, and just go for it, because there's no group therapy in this thing. It's a save yourself situation at this point. You are not carrying everybody along. Even when you're even carrying your crew along, you pay them off, you move on. The accolades is for you. The money or revenue or whatever you're making is for you. Focus. We're not there yet where we say, oh, we're dragging the entire industry, we're moving up the ladder, or we're making things better. I think we should stop deceiving ourselves in that regard. What I would say as a person who watches films, and I need to even mention I'm a very avid fan of Bollywood, and I see what they've done over the years when it comes to even script writing, telling their own stories, selling their own content, infusing music and selling music as well as much as they sell cinema. You know, they've done so much with their craft. They appreciate their own stories. They are not shy to tell their own stories. They are not saying, oh, one kind of storytelling is ras, or why are people always dying and waking up and reincarnating and all of that. There is that appreciation for their culture. And I think it does a lot to drive how far their stories go, how far their actors go, how far their filmmakers go. I can name like maybe 4 or 5 directors in Bollywood. I can name maybe a few Nigerians because, okay, I follow some of them and maybe I've worked 1 or 2 and all of that. But the question is, how many Nigerian members of the audience, rather, or people even in diaspora, know these people by name? I've cared enough about the industry to even know this level of information about filmmaking and everything. So I think that the only way we would shift from this individualistic approach to filmmaking and money making and all of that is for us to appreciate our culture more, tell more stories that resonate with our people locally, unfortunately, before we now start to aspire to global markets. And then if you feel like you are at the point in your career where you want to only aspire to global markets, then go for it. I just don't think that's for everybody right now. honestly. I don't think that this conversation is one that everybody can follow.
Right. Right.
Honestly.
And I think this is where I have empathy for some of the filmmakers. And I actually understand both sides of the conversation because I think on one hand, Opeyemi is saying like some filmmakers are doing fine and or they're achieving what they need to achieve or they're looking for the next step and the next step isn't what the kind of full structural reform that Deyemi or James, you might be looking to inspire for Nollywood to take that next step forward. And at the same time, if nobody does it, then Nollywood will generally probably not go anywhere and will remain here or generally get worse.
So
So these are
essentially, just let's all just go to YouTube.
grid lock.
Oh, I mean, there's YouTube, and then there's a platform that's launching now. I'm sure some of us have heard of it. I mean, I wish them all the best. Circuits.tv. They're doing this thing where you pay as you watch a film, and then they have like a global distribution network according to them. I mean, they're about to launch on the 20th,
Can we?
and I am very
Can
interested
we?
to see how that goes.
Let me
Maybe.
interject.
Okay.
Sorry, let me
Finish.
interject. Let me
Thank
and
you.
I hear Opeyemi, you know, and somebody was I was writing something in the comment section. So here's the thing. Those who have found a pathway to YouTube, is wonderful. Do you get those who will put their films on this circuit thing is great. People who will people are still going to do stuff for DSTV is fine. But the truth is that because those little pockets exist, it doesn't make the industry that we want it to be. Am I thriving? I'm thriving. I'm making a show for Africa Magic. I just started, I'm gonna be okay. But what do we there's an industry, like there's an entire industry that's going to affect a lot of other people, not just people who make films, more investments, more jobs. There's a whole lot. And here's the thing. Nigerians can't, like Deyemi said, they can't afford to even pay for your content. So even this streaming service that we're talking about, are people going to be able to afford to watch the films that are going to be put on there?
So James,
Sorry, I'm coming.
yeah, go on.
Deyemi said something. Deyemi said something, and I wanna just jump on that. So here's the thing: we need to fix the industry for the benefit of every other person. And the way to do it is to first think locally, reverse engineer what we have currently. There are people that want to watch our films. As a businessman and as somebody who is interested in the business of Nollywood, how can I make a lot more revenue and build an industry from people who necessarily can't afford to pay for films? I just need to figure out a way to reverse engineer it and get this content across to people and build an industry locally, just like how India did it. You said something, you said India found a way to allow it in such a way that their citizens or the people in India had access to their films. Now, how they did it, we don't know. We need to figure out our own way. What does that way do for us? It grows the industry further. I'm okay. It makes you more okay. It makes more investors come in and the industry grows bigger. It's an industry. We need to benefit from the industry. What we don't want is one person is making. Look at the Netflix gateway, for instance. I used to tell somebody that making a film and getting a commission from Netflix was like trying to put a camel through a needle's eye. It's not everybody that could do that. Not everybody could get a prime deal. Not everybody is going to succeed in YouTube. How do we make the industry in such a way that there are multiple spaces, multiple sources of how people can tell stories and we can create revenue and a full industry from it? That's where I'm coming from. I don't deny that people, Deyemi is in Japan. I'm doing a TV show. You are shooting at the moment. But there are guys who can't even afford to wake up in the morning and say, I have a story to tell, I want to tell it, because nobody is going to fund that movie. And in response to the person who said that private funding is available, I've been in this industry industry for more than 14 years. I promise you that except there's somebody that you know that has money and is willing to give me the money or give Deyemi the money or give Opeyemi the money, nobody is going to invest in anything that doesn't make them returns. It will never happen. Nollywood needs impact investments, free money to some degree to survive. To get through this place that we're going through, that's what we need. Or we need a bunch of angel investors who actually believe in a great distribution and value chain system to build. If we're not doing that, we're just going to be
from
suffering.
my experience, the only platforms that are interested in funding film without expecting anything in return is banks.
No, don't want something in return.
What do you?
Yeah, without expecting anything in return, though. Because you just said now, James, that if you are hoping to get an investor without knowing somebody or someone somewhere that can plug you in, it's not going to happen, right? Because everybody's expecting to make money.
No, I'm saying that what we need as Nollywood is impact investment, and we also need all kinds of investments. I'm only saying that somebody mentioned that private investment is not hard to find, and I'm saying
Okay,
that if it's not hard to find, I would like to meet those people. But I'm saying to you that there are people now in this place in Nollywood today that wouldn't invest because all they are thinking, they don't see the future of Nollywood. All they want is I'll give you 100 million, give me 100 million back.
Is that so you're leading to something, James, that like we're not at the optimum place where enough people who want to make a film and can get it to the people who want to see that kind of film for whatever respective budget. Is there any? How do we know that? How do we know this isn't? We are not there at the optimum level. Like, what if this is it? Like, this is the. For example, what I use for example. So, whatever happened with Netflix and Amazon, right? They probably have the people who need to get on there, go on there, and the people who could watch it, and as a result, Netflix and Amazon decided, okay, that's not working for us. What do you feel is being left on the cutting floor? James or Deyemi, you can take that. I don't know.
Netflix and Amazon team had bad strategy. Their strategy was flawed. Amazon more so than Netflix. And it's not just their marketing or their go-to-market strategy. It was also their people strategy. I think they had the wrong people making the wrong decisions. And that's part of what has affected us. I sincerely believe so.
No,
And
I don't agree. I don't agree with that, Deyemi. I'll tell you why.
You can't agree with it. And James, I know
Wait,
why.
wait.
No,
Let me tell you why.
hold on. Let me land. Go to market strategy, people strategy. People have been saying stuff and we're not talking enough. James, we're not talking enough. If we can all enter one room together, is who remains alive that we, you know what I'm saying? Because the blood will be plenty. But a lot has gone down. We had in a lot of these places. I'm not picking any one of the platforms really, but in all these places, imagine some of the films that we've seen on these platforms. Some of the films that we've seen on these platforms have demarketed our industry. They have. Who was picking those films? Who was giving those films to the platforms? Who are the gatekeepers? Can we name those people? Can we name those organizations and ask them, how did this particular film or that particular film get onto that platform? How is it that, because now they will look and say, oh, people didn't watch the film, people didn't, so because of that, we're not getting the kind of results that we ought to get. These guys buy films in two ways. One, such that the films, especially the ones that they commission, would help increase their subscription, right? The subscriber base, they want to increase that. So they have content, and that's why they have original content, they have commissioned content. The other type of content that they invest in, licensed content, is supposed to keep you there. So the original content brings you there, the licensed content keeps you there. You have to have good quality content on both sides of the divide. We've not had enough of those. We didn't have a lot of those. That's what.
Yeah, but that's not the streamer's fault.
I'm sorry. The streamers
That's not
picked. But I just said streamers and the people who give these films to them. And there are aggregators involved in the market as well, deciding what content gets where. Again, I said, as an industry, we all need to figure out where the gaps are and try to fix it. That's for the streamers. We talked about the local markets. Everybody's talking about, and for me, a moderator, listen, what I see is this. If people are pirating your film, whether locally or globally, it means there's a demand for the film. We've just not figured out how to legally reach them. They are pirating not necessarily because they can't some people can even afford it outside this country. How much is it going to cost? But they can't access it. They can't access some of our films. What we need to do is not just be filmmakers. We cannot any longer afford to be just filmmakers. We cannot afford to be just actors. We cannot afford to be just producers. You cannot just sit down in one place deciding to produce content or get a product or work on a service that you can't reach your market with, and now still sit and think that, oh, somebody else should come and solve my problem. Nobody's coming. The government isn't coming. The streamers aren't coming. We need to fix the problem ourselves. So it's solutions. Enough of pointing the fingers and what are the solutions? If there's anybody out there on this platform right now that can talk to these solutions, how do we get our content across the world? How can we get plugged into the American theatrical system or the British theatrical system or the international theatrical system, if that's an option? How do we reach 100 million Nigerians that cannot, that are struggling to even eat? What can we do for them? If it's 2 naira, if we can get 2 naira from 100 million Nigerians, that's 200 million naira. I'll be okay. If you tell me now, James, that we can reach 100 million Nigerians and they pay 2 naira, 5 naira for our content. We'll be fine. The problem is that we don't have that access to reach them.
So I think
I actually
just to say a couple of things. I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. Again, it's the data that speaks for me. So first things first, most of these people are leaving not even because of the content that they put on. Prime's example for leaving, they left because the economy generally was
somebody. James, it was. They all fed into each other.
Somebody woke up in the morning and made a decision to pull out of the entirety of Africa and in Asia, and I know that firsthand. Now, in terms of and I agree with you to some degree when it comes to what kind of films were they putting on, but I necessarily also don't agree because the shittiest films are on YouTube, and people are walking away with $100 million every other year. Sorry, how much is? You shall have plenty money.
No, whatever, it's plenty money. Yeah.
Other year, right? Now the question, and I totally understand that the market is segmented, but I don't believe, I've come to realize, and it's the data, that Nollywood people don't care about your 5-act structure or who is in the film. Well, who is in the film is important, but they don't care about your 5-act structure. They just want to be entertained. YouTube is a perfect example. Just like you said, the question is, how do you deliver content to people at the cheapest rates and for those who cannot afford it? Unfortunately, nobody likes to subscribe to Netflix. I have about 7 people that watch my Netflix. 7. I'm the only one paying for it. So there are 7 people paying for one Netflix. But the same thing with my HBO, same thing with my Hulu, same thing with my Disney Plus, same thing.
I bet, can you tell me your password? Can you tell me your password?
I'm the guy paying for all those things. But Nigerians don't like to pay for stuff. It's not even a case of we don't like to. The economy doesn't even allow us. Netflix is 7,000 naira a month. How many people can afford 7,000 naira to pay for Netflix to go and watch films?
And then even
might not even watch. Then there's money for data. But it's easier for me to go to YouTube and do MTN 1 gig for 1 day
And
at
download all the
400.
things you want to watch to
And download
your
all the.
software.
That's why I said reverse engineer it. I'll give you a perfect example. This is a strategy, but I'll say it here. Your film comes out on Showmax, but it's on Telegram. You are shouting that it's on Telegram. Why don't your company or you as a filmmaker open your own Telegram group or officially have a Telegram group and have all these subscribers join your Telegram group and put that content there for free, but put advert placements inside and let advertisers pay for it and
Yeah,
distribute
but
it to as many
That
people as
will
you want.
backfire
but the
seriously.
same show marks that were shouting that the show is getting on Telegram would have made you sign exclusive deal, one thing,
So
one thing, one thing. You cannot put
I'm even
anything
saying, I know
anywhere.
this is away from Showmax. I'm even just saying, like, we're trying. I personally don't think
You're
piracy is
right.
a problem. Just like you
You're right.
said, Deyemi, we share the same sentiments. Piracy is not an issue. Piracy is the solution to is the key. Inside piracy is the key to solving our distribution problems. It's right there.
Yeah.
But we are fighting piracy. I don't want to tell you the stories about this fight for piracy. I've sat down with people now. They will go to Alabama and be burning shops. We are deceiving ourselves. So my point is, like Deyemi said, the only solution is for people to sit down, to innovate, reverse engineer this thing. And we need investors, people who are willing to invest. And when I say people, maybe not individuals, MTN, Airtel, people who are willing to say to themselves, who are willing to invest in this industry for the next 10 years. Let's get the brightest minds out there and solve this distribution platform, solve this distribution problem that just doesn't affect Nigeria, but it affects everybody across Africa. We need to make our stories for us. I don't care about America. They don't care about us. Make us first, then them second. That is what should happen. Thank you.
There
All right.
are a lot of people commenting on the live. Before you comment, please you can also share your experience in the industry, because there's stuff that is being said that's, I've been here 10, 12 years. It's 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 unrealistic at best. Um,
Yeah.
and and then again, somebody said something interesting. Said community cinemas. We've been shouting community cinemas for years, right? But I'll have that. Have people rather define what a community cinema means. Describe what it looks like. Describe to us what the cost of putting one around would be, and the process of operating it. If you cannot do that, then you're not telling us anything. You're just saying community cinema is just put cinema in the community. That's not. And again, I'm not saying this to put anybody down. I'm just saying some people are. If we're preferring solutions, let's be a bit more detailed. And you're right. There is something there. We need to figure out how to get cinemas into the communities. What we have right now, the multiplexes, the big guys, it's too expensive to, the investments, way too high. The buildings, the equipments, the operating costs, all dictates what the cost of a ticket will be. That is the problem. So strip down all of these things. Blue ocean strategy, the heck out of it. Strip down everything that is not necessary to those people. Go and do the research. Find out what they want, what they can afford. Exactly. Hey, you said reverse engineer. Let's find out what is okay for them to spend and how to package it for them to be
Zero
interested
naira.
in watching our content. And then we reverse engineer. If they say it's 200 naira is the cap, we can never spend more. But if it's 200 naira, we'll spend, we will not do Telegram. Then we figure out how to get them that. It might even be that there's an extra benefit to watching our content, so that 200 naira, it saves them 5,000 naira because there's a chance for them to win. Whatever. You do stuff to change their behavior. That's the only way we can go. We've been used to watching free content for years. A lot of Nigerians are watching free content all the time. If you're used to it, that's the behavior. You have to reverse that behavior and figure out some innovative way using technology, using good strategy, to make that happen. And I've been in a lot of rooms where some fantastic ideas are being shared. um, I'm particularly because I've worked in tech and I've worked in film, and even in some other industries, and being able to pull from all those different places, bring people together inside one room. There are some really interesting ideas. There's talk of this new cinema, this circuit TV that is coming up. I've not heard anything about circuit TV. I've not seen one ad anywhere.
I
I've
just
not,
saw it today for the first time.
I've not, and today is the 13th. They want to start launch on the 20th. Um, it's it's an online platform. My head hurts when I think about it. Do people understand how much investment it takes to promote an online platform? How much Netflix is spending, not just on promotion, but on content acquisition? Do we realize, even Iroko TV at that time, how much they were spending to ensure that they were marketing their service, and they were doing it massively. So anybody that's going to do this, they can't do it with a half-hearted measure, except there's something that they know that we don't know. Maybe they have direct access to 1 million people across the world
Yeah.
that are ready to buy the film the minute they turn on their platform. In that case, good luck to everybody.
No, I'm absolutely with you on that. And actually, there's been a lot of solutions that have come up, like you said, but for whatever reason, they haven't stood the test of time. Or I think I was in a space might have been last year or early this year, where ViewMax was one that was talking about this thing that sounds like a community cinema, but it hasn't really amounted to anything since then. Not that I've heard of anyway.
Who
But I
talked
guess
about it?
as
Say that again. Say that again.
ViewMax,
What were they trying to do
what
exactly?
they were trying to do, it was this. They're trying to solve both, create like community cinemas where you'd be able to send basically films to people who can just launch these things in their projectors in their on their local sites. It was supposed to like help piracy, help reduce piracy proof, and all of this. I found it fascinating. Obviously, I thought it was quite the tech. It was supposed to be sort of almost electricity proof. It was supposed to be piracy proof. Like they seem to have thought about all of these issues, but I haven't heard of anything since then. So I don't know what happens with a bunch of all these solutions that are coming up, whether it's not enough investment or sustenance. But I guess this is a good place to start thinking about wrapping up in terms of what we think the future actually holds, given where we are now. If we don't change course, or if we remain steady on this course, because it's difficult to predict. Actually, I don't think Deyemi might remember this, but Deyemi, you were on a space one time, and I remember I asked a question regarding. My question was regarding, it was around this time where streamers had just announced a bunch of our filmmakers, our top filmmakers were going. We didn't have Jade. We didn't have Jade was going to be Prime exclusive. Actually, I think I might also ask James this question. This used to be my question for if I could get with any Nollywood filmmaker, I would ask this question. Jade has gone. At that time, Funke had just announced that she was going to be running for as a VP. So deputy. Yeah. So we weren't sure whether we were going to be even getting Funke. We lost. Kunle was with Netflix. We just had a bunch of our big filmmakers, and I think the only person I remember who hadn't signed a deal with a streamer or wasn't leaving Nollywood then was, I think, AY and maybe Inkblot, and everybody else had just like attached themselves to a streaming. I asked about what does that mean for Nigerian cinemas going forward. And I think back then you were a little bit more optimistic. You were saying that this could potentially open space for new people to come through. So now I guess I'm saying this is that it's difficult to predict the future. even at its dire point, we've come from a period where our future used to be. We went through a place where we're making BlackBerry babes, Facebook babes, Hummer babes. There was a time where like we're producing a certain type of this thing, and today we're making films that are hitting festivals. It's not at its best. We can still do more, but it's always difficult to predict the future. But I want to pose this very difficult question to you guys in terms of what do you think the future of Nollywood is? And we can start with Opeyemi. We can start with you.
I know this is going to sound very pedestrian, right? But I think that we all need to stop postulating and just focus on where we are at in our creative journeys, whether we are investors, whether we are friends with investors, whether we are in rooms with people that can give us money. Side eye to James, I said to you, Deck, look at me, I'm still waiting for money. But anyways, wherever we are, I think we all just need to be content there. As for the future, no one can tell what will happen. I think that as at the time, and I'm speaking as a plain Jane. I don't know anything. I have no idea how Netflix came or Amazon came or all these people came. But I know that at one point the shark came, right? And then now they are leaving and everybody is crying and everybody is sad and everybody is feeling like, oh, Nollywood has died. Meanwhile, people have been creating since. I think that the future is what we make of it. You know, if we continue to build, try to like create a bit of a structure, I don't see why a lot of people are writing off cinema, because it's still a viable option for those people that can't go to global markets. I think that what needs to happen, perhaps, maybe we continue to hope that government would, or the Nigerian government would take interest, or at least we can get investors to take interest. It's just investors are leaving already, so that's not even an option because the economy is volatile and the world is going to shift. Sorry, pardon my language. But we can still keep hope alive, keep doing what we are doing in the silent rooms, the rooms where we all are, where we have the ears of people, and just keep creating and doing what we love. And then hopefully, as the world continues to turn around and the economies change or things shift, then hopefully there will be lights at the end of the tunnel, quote and unquote. Because this thing is not even a Nigeria thing. The economy everywhere is shit right now. Like, and now that the wars are going off everywhere, things are turning upside down. There's insecurity everywhere. A lot is even going to still be unstable in the next few months, in the next 2 or 3 years, even, and it will affect every aspect of our lives, including film that some of us really love so much. So we just need to keep hope alive, keep creating, keep talking to people that we know, keep creating for the small communities that we are in, whether it's cinema, whether it's YouTube, whether it's circuits, wherever, and just hope that something happens that changes things. We just need to keep pushing. We need to keep pushing because it's there everywhere. Even to get sponsorship and get funds from partner brands for films these days is hard work. Everybody's telling you no, there's no money, we're not interested in doing this. And because they are now content creators themselves, they would rather spend money on doing their own content than even giving you to like do your premieres or shoot your films or what have you. So we just need to hold on and stop like thinking, doomsday is here, we're going to hell. I think things will pick up eventually. Eventually, we just need to keep doing what we're doing, and that's it. That's how I think the future is going to be. You can't really predict what it's going to be now because tomorrow somebody can shoot a nuke somewhere and then everywhere is like glued to stadium. So you can never tell. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Thanks, Kwame. Deyemi, what are your thoughts? What are your hopes? What do you think the future of Nollywood? Um, where do you think the future of Nollywood lies? I suspect you're not as optimistic.
Yeah, yeah, I think we need to shut down, take a break, like COVID. You know, James, are you shocked? That was for you.
We've already shut down. I mean, what's I don't understand. Like, we're in
No,
the COVID era already.
we're in a
Maybe
pandemic
I'm
right
saying it
now.
now.
We're in a
Already
pandemic
pandemic.
right now. We,
Yeah.
we we need to observe social distancing. Everybody calm down. Again, so if you're already in a space, you're in the YouTube space, for example, then you really may not have a problem. So again, in that space, but I'm not talking about that space. I'm the level of filmmaking that I aspire to has evolved beyond what's happening on YouTube at the moment. And if we're gonna tell the kind of stories that we want to tell, then we need some kind of, you know, investments in those kind of stories. The cameras that you're going to use, you know, even if you're using the cheaper cameras, you want to go back and use the DSLRs and you don't care about the quality, you just want to tell a great story, you're still going to pay for that cheap ass camera. You're going to pay for your crew. You're going to pay for the locations that you use. Whatever it is, you're going to need some cash. If you're going to collect cash, be sure that you know how the cash is going to come back. Just don't go and shoot film for the sake of shooting film just to keep hope alive. Get again. This is not
I got that.
if YouTube is the game. Keep on doing the YouTube. If you're looking at doing films that have the potential to travel, to go into film festivals, to go into cinemas, to get into streamers, um, then we have a problem, and we do have a problem. And if we sit down in the same position that we're in, we're never going to fix these problems. We have to put on our thinking caps, and we have to start putting our money where our mouth is. If you say this is the thing you want to do, the kind of level of filmmaking that you want to do, and we see that things are going bad, let's try and fix that ecosystem. Don't go and be investing money right now inside a 100 or a 200 million naira, 500 million naira film. Figure out first, how can that film make money? If you need to invest in the system that makes that film make money and you get it right, then we can now proceed and start having those conversations. Because no matter what you say, there's no single filmmaker that has as much money as Universal Studios or as Netflix or as anybody. So it tells us that it's distribution. That's where the money really is. We cannot, we understand film. We have allowed people who don't understand film control our industry. We have. They don't really care about film. They care about money. Now they'll continue not to care about film and about creativity, but more about money, and they will make the wrong decisions. So it is our responsibility to stop being filmmakers and to start being business people. They are business people trying to be filmmakers. We are filmmakers. We want to just die as filmmakers. No, we have to figure out how to become more aware of the business of filmmaking, so that with our love for film, our passion and our experience and our talents, we can then find solutions to fix the system. I'm going to leave you with one idea. Nothing stops us from developing the technology to have a cinema in a box and have 10,000. We have 250 screens right now. I'm thinking 10,000 screens within the next 2 years, where you have a cinema in a box. A guy has a box that has a projector, has a solar panel, has a battery that powers the system, has a screen foldable. You unfold it in the cinema or the environment, the community that you are, anywhere in the country. And you're able to deliver from a cloud system directly, because it's not just a projector. It's a projector that has the ability to have internet access. You can download content from the cloud into that projector for a period of time, and you stream that to whatever community that you're in. And this not only this not only creates an opportunity for people to see our films, it also creates jobs. It kind of mimics what the viewing centers are, but this is a totally different platform. Second thing we can do is actually go and figure out how to leverage these same viewing platforms that are already in existence, viewing centers that are already in existence. If we can figure out how to do it, get a device that can be plugged in, the way DSTV is already plugged in and they're watching TV, football. They're watching football all across the country. How can we also create something for our high level films? They can decide to watch DSTV films, but it's not those type of films that we're talking about. We're talking about the films that we're trying to get into the cinemas. We don't have enough screens. We add to the screens with a cinema out of the box concept. And I'm sharing ideas that have come out of rooms that I'm in that people are actively working on, and they are putting their money where their mouth is. They're working on these devices. I'm hoping that within the next 6 months or so, And again, those devices have already been in existence in another way, in another form, for another industry. We just need to adapt it to what is required, what we need it for. The technology already exists. I have seen it, James. I have seen it live. This talk that you said, and this is going to be a private thing. I'll have a conversation with you. I can't like put everything out there right now. But there's a way to reach those people who are not ready to spend anything and to extract value from it.
I will say one thing in
And,
this.
and I'm excited about it. I'm excited. Thank you very
I'll
much.
say one thing in this meeting. We found a way, but again, we can't talk about it on a live. But like I said, we're not just talking.
No.
And Deyemi has said very beautiful things. I just need everybody to understand that we're not pointing fingers and saying the industry is dead. I promise you, there are people who have been working on the way or a way.
Oh yeah.
With multiple other ways for the last 3 to 4 years.
As it is, and if we don't change it, the part of it that we are operating, the higher cadre of films, if we do not change things, there's going to be problems.
Yeah.
This one that we're saying, we are pointing our finger at the fact that if we don't change the system now, it's already bad. It can only get worse if we don't change it. We have to do something, and we'll do it.
All right.
I'm not about to go back to YouTube.
Wow.
All right. All right. Thanks, Deyemi. James, did you want to add more, or was that it for you?
Oh no, that was it. That was it for me.
Okay. I thank you, everybody. Thanks to TswaFilmFest Film Festival for hosting this conversation. Hopefully, more solutions keep coming. If not, we will only die and be reborn. To be honest,
fix it. We'll fix it. The Elon Musk amongst us will come up with something, and they're really smart people in this industry.
I was waiting for you to say that, or someone to say that, because that's the reality.
Yeah, no, we should all aspire to be the Elon Musks of this industry. Let nobody sit down and be waiting for somebody else to do something for them. Let's all do something, even if it's small. Figure out how to reach 1,000 people, 10,000 people, whatever it is. Figure out how to deliver the best films at lowest possible pricing, because you've partnered with Canon or Nikon. I'm in Japan right now, and there's talk of those kind of partnerships. Let's figure out how to get international films made in Nigeria, so that we can earn international money. We don't have co-production agreements with any country. There's no rebate system that helps or encourages films to come and be shot in Nigeria, that brings that Hollywood money or that international film money into our system. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, it is.
It's a whole thing. Yeah.
I think that this might be very basic, but charity also begins at home. How do you expect people to invest in your industry when even your own country is not like investing in your country? You need to do something that would attract these guys. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
We're not there.
If we sit down and wait, you said it now. We are producing our own. We dig our own borehole. We provide our own security. We provide our own lights. We did not wait for the government to do that for us. We did it by ourselves so that we can survive. We cannot afford to wait for governments. We cannot afford. Afrobeats did not wait for governments, and they are where they are today.
Yeah,
They
but
are.
then government will not come and slam you with a 1 billion naira fine when you are
That's
trying to make it.
that's not the point of this conversation. The point of the conversation is Afrobeats, succeeded in spite of the shit that we are dealt with, or that we have to deal with in Nigeria. How can Nollywood succeed, thrive, and explode massively across the globe in spite of what we're dealing with? If we have government involvement, all well and good. I think what they should do is create an enabling environment. You know, do not allow these companies come in and do whatever it is they like, to make sure that we're building the right skills to protect labor, that we have labor laws that are being protected. All of these things, that's the real primary job of government, to create take taxes and use it to create an enabling environment. With that, they now invest in the industries and another thing entirely. They've not done a good job of doing that. They did it during the BOI era. They did it before that. What's his name that did not have shoe before he became president? Jonathan Goodluck.
Wow.
Yes, he shared money. Boys were buying car, buying house, boys and girls. And, they shared the money. I did not see it. If I was there then, perhaps I will not be on this live. I will be, I'll be somewhere chilling. But I didn't get out of that money that year. So we need to fix what we have right now is what I'm saying. And we cannot wait for anybody to come and do it for us. We can't wait for Netflix. If we fix us, they will come back. If Nigerian content starts spreading like wildfire across the world, we don't have any Squid Game. We don't have any Money Heists. We don't have. If we start producing Korean type content, how big that's become. If we get that done, if we fix ourselves, they will come back, and they will come back on our terms. If they find that when they come back, we're stronger, we're better positioned, we're better behaved, they will adjust. They will come back, and then we can continue doing business with them on our own terms. But thank you guys for the opportunity to speak.
All right, thanks everybody, and wish you guys all a Merry Christmas in advance, and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.
All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye. It was fun.
We have come to the end of this episode. Remember to rate and review the podcast. You can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at SelegoFilm, and the podcast at the NaijaFilmPod to share your feedback. You can now support the podcast by visiting the website to donate. See you on the next episode. Have a good one.